I've been building a software development company over the past 2.5 years. I'm 20 at the minute. I started this company when I was 17, and I've been dabbling in business since I was 13. It's been very, very interesting. And there are a number of things that I have now learned through the last 2.5 years of business that I really took a long time to learn. And a lot of things that I wish I knew before I got into this business. And I thought I'd talk about those things because I've had plenty of people who are interested in doing the same thing. People who want to be software freelancers, etc. First thing, you will go through cycles of feast and famine. And I compared myself to other kinds of big professional services agencies, things like, say, marketing agencies, whatever, which are fundamentally very, very different businesses. Feast and famine means you will have cycles where, you will get a project, right? And especially in the development space, you get a project which pays you very well, and so that's kind of like you get this kind of feast period. But then you also have famine cycles. This happens generally, right? Like different industries have different standards. The cruise industry, for example, has huge feast and famine cycles. They keep like an entire year of runway always in their bank because they get loads of sales in holiday seasons and nothing during the mid seasons. Anyway, um, feast and famine cycles for development agencies are a little bit stronger because you do not have like, if you have a marketing agency, you will tend to go from like 1,000 a month, 2,000 a month. Like you'll slowly build that up, and obviously you still have to fight churn and all of those things. But presumably, it's a service that businesses will continue to use, right? Whereas development can be more cyclical because you may be engaged in a specific project, which is meant to have a start and end date, and you don't want the project to overrun by 6 months because that means that you're doing a bad job because it's delayed and all those things. So feast and famine cycles is one of the bigger things. And I really didn't understand that. I closed my first deal for 5 figures, and I thought, this is great. Business is good. I just keep doing this, and in no time I'll be at 100,000 a month. It's, happy days. It, Long story short, that did not happen. Right? I slowly found out that that was a feast cycle, and so what had felt very good because it was a big win up front, I did not realize that money I had to average out over a number of months because over the next coming months, I would have to fulfill on that project and I wouldn't be able to focus on client acquisition. And that is the case for the start of the agency. Now, as you scale, obviously you can have a team and things like that. But when you're starting out, that's not the case. That's something I really wish I knew. The second thing would be like people don't pay on time. Deal's not done until cash hits the bank. Like I used to celebrate things way too early. I would send a proposal for something. I think there was one proposal I had spoken with a guy, and I drew up the proposal. It was 27 grand. It was the biggest deal I had ever done at the time, and I sent it to him, and he was like, "Yeah, looks good. Let me take a look over the contract proposal, whatever." And then he ghosted me the next day. But like, and it was horrendous to me because I had been celebrating that 27K deal, and the reality is the deal's not done until the cash hits the bank. I just had somebody who I've been in talks with for a while, like a lot of talks. We did the proposal, did all the things, and sent the contract. He's getting the lawyers to look at it. And now, no word yet. And you cannot count until, the deal is never done until cash hits the bank. And only then can it be considered and celebrated. And that was a big lesson for me that I took a long time to learn. I used to celebrate things way too early. And that caused huge cash flow issues in my business as well, because I did not realize how often client payments could be late and would be late. And you have to be cognizant of this fact as you go into things. Third thing I would say is, like, it takes time. You have to be patient. You have to be willing to play this for the long game. I had been annoyed because I spent from 13 to 17, I started like literally like half a dozen business ideas. And then I have this massive project graveyard. I got interested in a bunch of stuff. Then I did this, I did that, I did the other. Like I did all kinds of things. And I never focused. And that was the reason I didn't make huge progress in anything, was because the first time I made like any real money was in this agency. That's because I focused on it for a long, and I was like, I'm going to do this for a long time. I'm going to commit to doing it for a long time. And that is what kind of permitted me to stay on track, focused, etc. But I definitely thought I would have made more progress by now. But the reality is, like, you need to go through that learning phase, and that learning phase is not weeks. It is not months. It is like, you do not build a business in a 30 30-day challenge, or 90-day challenge, or 180-day challenge. Like it's not a summer project. It's not a side project. It's not a side hustle. It's the thing. And that was a big misconception of mine. And I think that principle of focus was one of the biggest like lessons and takeaways I've had from just focusing and actually finding some success in it. And yeah, it was a big mistake of mine to basically think that like I had mistaken multitasking for productivity. And it's not. Like, focus is the one prized possession you have. Your limited resource is not time. It is focus, and it is attention. It is the shower thoughts. What are the shower thoughts that you are having? Like, they have to be about one thing. And for me, that took a long time to think and realize. And that's something I wish I knew just earlier in general, not just in this business, but in general. Like, things take time. When you do something, the plan I implement today, I can hope for results in 6 to 9 months. All the work I do today to expand the business will take effect in 6 to 9 months. And so, like, at the minimum, right? 3 to 6 months at the minimum, often longer. And the bigger the business, often the bigger the goal, the bigger the ambition, the longer that time horizon, and the longer you have to work for without results. And and that time horizon is in months and years, not weeks and days and a few months, right? That was a big lesson for me as well. So that brings me up to 3 so far, which is time, delays, feast and famine, clients don't pay on time. And there was something else, I'm trying to think, that I had thought about just now, because I think it's a very useful reflection for me. But you're probably not as good as you think you are. That's the reality. You have to assume yourself worse and push your quality standards higher every single time. Your quality standards must always be higher than that of your client. And if that is not the case, then you probably have an issue. You're going to have client retention issues. That's something I wish I was more cognizant of. Like, it is not good enough. Your work is probably not good enough. It is never good enough. It should never be good enough. It should always be improving. I think I wish also that, like, I don't know, my head's a little bit empty. Maybe I'll think of something later, but I'm running around a little bit, but I wanted to share that reflection because I think it's really useful. And seeing some people comment and basically say that they want to do the same thing, I basically have some cautionary tales that I want to share and basically say, like, beware. It's not all fun and games, not all just rainbow and sunshine like there is. It's troublesome sometimes. But anyway, I'm going to head out at the minute. I'm going to go to Bellside Park for a bit and check that out, and then I'll come back, pack for Lisbon, head it tomorrow, and then I'm going to work a little bit. I have a bunch of stuff that I need to go through, so yeah, that's my plan. Hopefully I'll record some more ideas on this later, and or if not today, some other time.